planet is about to undergo some huge, monumental changes. So I wanted to do a video to outline my top 11 psychic predictions, as well as the top channel messages for the 2020s. And if you're an empath, a starseed, a lightworker, just an awakening or heart-centered person, this is all really, really good news. Now, no doom and gloom here, but we don't sugarcoat it either. It's a great time, but it's a challenging time. So let's dive on in. This is Adam of the Medium channel, where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. Much of this information comes through channeling, although I draw on astrology and numerology and mediumship and all my other tools as well. And I did a lot of this through automatic writing, which took about 20 minutes to do about 8 or 9 pages of notes. So I condensed my notes, and I'm going to be reading a lot from my notes. That's not how I usually do my uploads, so bear with that. And here we go. Basically, yeah, positive news all around. Timelines are fluid. Understand that everything that happens today affects yesterday and tomorrow. So as our consciousness changes, it may change or at least modify some of these predictions. So nothing is set in stone. The more we evolve, the easier the transition is into the new earth mentality and the new earth. We can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. So let's work together. Let's help each other grow, and let's grow within ourselves. Let's double down on our spiritual practices. Let's expand. Let's learn. Let's teach. And let's raise collective consciousness so that we can easily transition into the Aquarian Age. So it doesn't have to be so bumpy. We are interdimensional and exist in multiple realities. These alternative realities exist within a great web of existence. So if one point on the web gets altered, it affects the stability and the integrity of the entire web. So what happens with our awakening in this reality is a reflection of what is happening in multiple realities. So we're all connected. So the idea is to keep it simple. Focus on raising your consciousness first and foremost. And teach those who are reachable and teachable, but don't go out of your way. We are conscious beings. We're all connected. As you raise your consciousness, it helps the collective raise their consciousness. Focus on yourself. Double down on your spiritual practices and help those you can. So if you like this video, I'll be your best friend. Plus, it'll help get this information out to more people, and I thank you for that. So the 2020s, the theme is breakdown to breakthrough. It is necessary. Things may seem bad at times, but it is necessary. This is all channeled information, by the way, that I transcribed. Awakening accelerates. New age children born and other new age children come of age. New earth consciousness emerges. This is the phoenix time. Rising up out of our own ashes. So yeah, there's a destruction of the old unsustainable systems, followed by a rebuild of more conscious systems. So new earth consciousness emerges, unsustainable systems collapse. As higher consciousness, higher frequencies that are going to continue to build on the planet, continue to accelerate. More begin to remember who they are, including who their guides are, their past lives or other lifetimes, future lifetimes also, different dimensional realities, extraterrestrial contact, and all that stuff. It's all coming. Every day, more and more people are waking up and starting to shift into a 4 and 5D and beyond consciousness. Always got to talk about climate and weather, right? I mean, I'd be here all day if I tried to predict every single climate thing that's going to happen. So here's just a few quick notes on that. One, increase of bizarre weather. Well, duh, hello. Number 2, powers centralized to promote automated weather for their own agendas. So in other words, as the weather gets crazy, our saviors, our knights in shining armor, the deep state, cabal, centralized government, or whatever, going to have a solution. We can automate it all and wave goodbye to all these disasters. Don't buy into that, please. Some spotty exposure of weather modification comes up. So we're going to get more news and more exposure about that. The government partially admits to it, by the way, through the geoengineering projects. Global warming facts versus global warming myths come under a lot greater scrutiny. I was seeing a big ice shelf, and I mentioned that in recently also, that it may even happen this year, because I mentioned it would happen soon. But in this work, I was seeing this more like in 2024 in the Antarctic, and a big ice shelf collapse could create a big tidal wave throughout the world. Something just to keep an eye on. They did show me extraterrestrial assistance in modifying the polar shift and other global events that are happening. So, you know, when the poles shift, we've been known to revert back to cave people. We don't want that to happen again. So that, you know, we have been under the guidance and under the auspices of many different extraterrestrial beings and races, and this is getting proven more and more with every passing day, with more and more exposure to that. So there's also showing me an assisting to avoid a major asteroid impact around 2027, 2028. And they also showed a monster hurricane. I've seen that in the Gulf of Mexico in 2025, 2026 that rewrites the weather book. So expect stronger storms, expect continuing stronger oscillations, global sea rising. But again, we may start to get to the facts of what's really going on behind the natural global warming, like what's going on with the agendas and so forth. Number two, and I've talked about this before, and even within a year or two ago, this is heart, cultivating the frequencies of the heart. I believe heart-brain coherence or related practice is going to become the most, if not one of the most important spiritual practices of the 2020s, because of a lot of scientific research that validates it. And since I made that prediction about a year and a half ago, I've seen at least a 30% increase in coverage on working with the heart center as a focal point of spirituality. So here's what I wrote here. So breakthroughs by 2025 in science reveals this practice is the key for spiritual awakening and becomes the biggest practice of the 2020s. Science validates that this practice grants superhuman abilities for healing, intuition, and personal healing as it unlocks dormant DNA. And I'm actually on March 30th, I'm going to do an online class, but there's going to be classes and more teachings on the subject. Again, it's helped me so much, and people that have learned and have studied with me are finding the same thing. Working with the heart frequency, the heart portal is the portal of the soul. It's the root of our higher selves, and it's our gateway to spirit. So work with the heart. That is the key. So the third thing that I was seeing is a big increase in extraterrestrial ET activity. More people recognizing that they're starseeds, more contact, both telepathically as well as direct contact. ET activity increases, more channels, more sightings, more direct communication. Alien technologies like anti-gravity devices, DNA scanners, devices that can translate thought or telepathy, thought waves into many different languages to help communicate with the ETs. I mean, they communicate with us telepathically, and people that have had contact very often say that they're telepathically communicating with them. But there are also devices available, a little bit like the tricorders in Star Trek. The War of the World agenda I was seeing is being avoided, or there's a conspiracy theory out there that there may be a burgeoning conspiracy fact about them kind of manufacturing a threat against the world from the extraterrestrials, so that we must band together. We must have a centralized government and centralized power, which of course means centralized control and abuse. So I think they were saying that we're able to avoid that at this point. And disclosures, cooperative efforts with governments, etc. So I was seeing the extraterrestrials work. They're already doing this, by the way, but I see this increasing, that they're working with the governments, they're working with organizations that we may not have even heard of, that work more underground, that are here to help with the awakening, help to overthrow the unsustainable systems of the world. So I think that a lot of that stuff's going to come out also. Number 4, more spiritual teachers emerging, and that happening exponentially. So many young people recognize they are New Earth leaders. Voices get heard, or their voices get heard. Mass awakening movements, more mainstream attention to supernatural gifts, communities work together for light activation to help clear the collective 3D densities. Extraterrestrials, ascended masters work through more teachers and more channels. The second coming of Christ, we've heard about that. They were saying that this is going to happen through several teachers. So the energy of Christ isn't going to be locked into, well, never was locked into one individual, but it's going to be different than like, say, Jesus being the sage of the Piscean Age. The sage of the Aquarian Age is going to come through different voices. So that was number 4. Number 5 is about wars and conflicts escalating through 2025. We know that the conflict that gets all of our attention in Ukraine and Russia, although there's a lot of other conflicts and wars that are kind of under the radar, but they're happening also. We know that they had planned for a long war, and we question how did they know it was going to be a long war. Well, they were commissioning companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and stuff like that for an extended period of war, which is actually happening. So we find China being kind of the hub for the deep state. That's not new. That's been theorized, and it's pretty much known. Full-on World War III, that's a concern, but it's unlikely to happen. But that said, I do see things being detonated, so I do see the testing happening. Most war takes place on the cyber battlefield, even though there's a lot of bloody, unfortunate battles where people get displaced, lose their homes, and lose their lives and everything. Most of it happens on cyberspace, and they're showing me sophisticated fusion reactors possibly being used as weapons, possibly using dark matter and stuff like that. So that's really high-end technology, if you think about it. And also, more notes, big diplomacy movement in 2024 comes with mixed results, but I do feel like a lot of people are going to be getting together. War profiteers, is that the right word? They get exposed. There's a lot of profit behind war. There's a lot of profit behind human suffering. A lot of this is going to get exposed. We were finding that China and their allies become the biggest threat. We were also seeing that by 2030, the United States and Russia become allies because there's a perceived threat to both countries and the world as they know it. Some of this may be contrived, but some of this may be real. Balance of power, country borders, governments are all changing by 2023. And there will be some system of world government, but not like the deep state centralization. Number 6, 2026, 2027, they were showing me a big gamma burst or some sort of a celestial event that could shut down up to 40% of the power grids here on Earth for a year. I do believe that's being investigated. I do believe other channels and sources know this. It may not happen, but they were showing me that as a possibility. So here's some cool new invention that's being shown for point number 7. And one is the emergence of free energy. They already know how to do that. So there may be some developments or upgrades with that. New tests for intuition and cognitive development. So more openness to the fact that psychic abilities are real and that people are developing it and understanding more and more. They show me a system of genetic mapping and disclosures of extraterrestrial origins, as well as technologies existing to discover, what page are we on here? Discovering human and extraterrestrial origins, so understanding more of our human origins also. Technologies for telekinesis and those types of things. Technologies, things like med beds, celestial chambers, and there's other ones, for quantum healing, for energy healing. This is your best tool for healing. The technologies are great when you need them, but don't let the technologies or these advances, because I do believe by 2030 we can cure cancer and a lot of stuff that's incurable, but who's going to control those technologies? So develop the mind, and you can do with your mind what the technologies can do. They're patterned after thought waves and energy and human ability. So anyways, Big advances in artificial intelligence. It's already happening. It's already here. Big problems with the technology breaks out. Lots of disputes around it break out. It could even lead to mini wars and conflicts and stuff like that. Use of AI for controlling societies. Transhumanism is a big concern now. They were showing me less than 40% of people are really going to buy into that, and the social credit scores and the metaverse and the meeting rooms and stuff like that. I do feel like there's going to be an alternative to the metaverse or an alternative internet. I do believe there's going to be networks of societies that are off grid that connect with each other and communicate in this way. So a lot, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more, but I don't want this video to be over an hour. So lots of new inventions being unrolled this time. So number 8 is the attempted centralization of world finance, the breakdown to breakthrough of the economic and money systems. This is shown in the USA Pluto return that's hitting the sign Capricorn of government in the second house of money and finance. So this is all shown through astrology and numerology also. But what I have written down here is banking systems fail. Well, hello, they already are, right? New standards of money, moving to create small party financial systems. That could replace things like the euro or global currency and stuff like that. Paper money being replaced by gold, silver coins, or coins that have gold and silver. So the new standard of money is based on the old standards. Gold, silver, platinum will always have value, particularly gold. So we're going to start to see gold becoming more important in our currency as well as in our spirituality. So look out for that. And I do believe that they're going to replace paper currency with coin currency that has a certain amount of gold or whatever in it to validate its value. Because right now, money's on no standard, which means it can be misused and mishandled. Now, also, there's a big push towards digitalizing currency, like having it all basically in computers. I don't think that's going to fly. I think people are going to wake up too fast before they're able to pull that agenda off. But we'll see about that. Oh, I wrote that down here. Okay. World government, NWO, creates financial collapse to push their agenda. So look out for that some of the financial collapse may be orchestrated in order to push their new agendas. So in other words, don't buy into this. So number 9 is Russian war ends towards the early 2025. Restructuring of NATO and other alliances happen. True agendas behind the war become revealed. A lot's going to become revealed. That's a big one. A lot of what's going on behind the scenes is coming out. It has to. It's already begun. China becomes a bigger threat, but it's used to scare people to submission also. So, look out for that also. Possible display of power by 2027. That could be, another full-scale war or some kind of a nuclear or biological attack. Again, they're working with us to avoid some of this stuff, but be aware that these things are still on the radar. Also, threat from a seemingly neutral Middle Eastern country like Turkey emerges. It may not be Turkey itself, but I think we're going to see in that shifted balance of power some new threats come here. USA, Russia join forces to overcome mutual enemies. So that comes up. These last two are really important. Remember, this is a breakdown to a breakthrough. Things aren't going to be easy. So remember, stay in your heart, stay in your power. The more in your heart you are, the less subjected you are to outside programming, and the more you can cultivate your personal power that helps to connect and helps to empower the collective consciousness also. So number 10 is piercing the veils through 2025, the true beginning of the Aquarian Age. So we've been in the cusp of the Aquarian Age the last 30, 40 years or so. Now, what that means is that corruption, centralization attempts, human trafficking, all that stuff gets exposed. The agendas behind the wars, the agendas behind pandemics, all that stuff starts to come out more and more and gets exposed. Agendas of the World Economic Forum. Remember Klaus Schwab, right? You shall own nothing and be happy. That I'm seeing falling short. I just think we're waking up too fast. I think we have so much support from spirit through our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters and our interdimensional. It's just not going to happen. So what I was seeing is the dark forces, if you want to call them that, whatever name you want to give, becoming smaller and becoming scattered and isolated as a huge wave of light comes in 2024 into 2025 that overwhelms the whole dark agenda. It's happening slowly and incrementally, but I think this wave is going to build and build. Many of the bad people go into hiding. Pandemic plan for 2025, 2026. A lot of you are aware of that already. May or may not happen. It's still kind of a possibility, but it's getting chipped away. We'll put it that way. True origins of COVID get exposed, and that's already starting. Some of us knew this before it even came, and now it's being proven. Many brought to justice around the world, starting with an important American political figure at the end or towards the end of 2023, maybe into 2024. So number 11, this is the awakening. This is the Aquarian Age. Did I just say that it kicked? Oh, I wrote this down twice. Kicks in 2025. Mass purging of dark agendas and structures follow. Radical changes in collective consciousness for the better amidst global breakdown of unfair and unsustainable systems. By 2040, our golden age of enlightenment begins. Between 2040 and 2070 anyway, or by 2070 it's complete. That those timelines could change. When we truly evolve to a higher dimensional frequency, many off-grid communities develop and network. We're seeing that split. Some people want to go into the artificial intelligence, into the darker side of technology. Some people want to use the technology for good and continue to develop their human and spiritual connections and develop the way that we're naturally supposed to be developing here on planet Earth. So stuff like that. I'm seeing people going into more of like a Native American type of a scenario where there's different groups, nations, tribes, whatever you want to call this, but still having some advanced technology and still being in sync with the positive side of technology and of the growth of knowledge, the growth of science, and all that stuff. By 2030, ETs are openly working with governments and private organizations, sharing with humans to help us to herald in our new age of humanity, assisted by the extraterrestrials, the star brothers and sisters. We're starseeds, right? Empaths, all that stuff, and other intelligences. And that's what I have for you. And I just want to direct your attention to a short video over here that will teach you a dynamic way of doing law of attraction work that's not readily taught and available. So check this out. This is going to make a big difference in what you create in your life. Remember, one of the greatest spiritual lessons that we'll ever learn in this lifetime is the ability to consciously manifest. So let's consciously manifest a beautiful future. The video's over here. I love you. Thank you. See you at the next video.